includes both core purpose and the core values. Core purpose is why you exist. The why. Okay? And then core values would be, core values are principles that govern your behavior. Like, for instance, an example of a core value would be honesty, okay? Responsibility, okay? A sense of humanity, okay? Honesty, okay? For example. So core values are things that, principles that you will not violate at all in your actions. These are the things that provide you with your out-of-bound markers. These are guideposts to your behavior. Now, core values or core ideology is something, is that part of your vision that does not change. Okay? It is something that you discover. Okay? It is something that does not change. But the part of the vision that changes is the envisioned future. Envisioned future is what we normally refer to as the vision, okay, in day-to-day language. What do you envision 10 to 30 years from now? It's the concept of the big, hairy, audacious goal, or the BHAG. Okay, where do you see yourself 10 to 20 years from now, and then have a vivid description. Describe that 10 to 30 year vision in your own words. Okay? And the first exercise, the way when I do that in an organization, for instance, visioning exercise, one of the things that we do is imagine that you are a writer for the Bangkok Post, in your case. Okay? 30 years from now, writing about your organization. What do you want that writer to write? Okay? Okay, so like you've been successful, okay? 30 years from now, you're a successful organization, you're celebrating the success of your strategic plan, of your TQA, of anything that you aspire for, and now the writer is going to write a story about your organization. What do you want to see in that story? That's a good way of capturing that vision, okay? Those are what we call the vivid description. Vivid is the clear description of what your envisioned future is. Okay? And the other term is the big, hairy, audacious goal, or the BHAG, or the other term for it is actually what is the hedgehog concept. Let me describe what a hedgehog is. A hedgehog is an animal that has a lot of spines, like a porcupine. Okay? That's fine. So it protects itself by, if it's threatened, what the hedgehog does is that it rolls itself into a ball that is full of spines so that no one would attack it. So similarly, the hedgehog concept of an organization is something that you're so good at, remember core competence, okay? That you're so good at that no one would dare compete against you on that hedgehog because you're so good at it. So according to the writer of this book, Jim Collins, okay, the hedgehog concept of an organization is the intersection of three things. Okay? Again, we go back to the concept of core competence. We're trying to have more principles on defining our core competence, our hedgehog concept. It's the intersection of three things. What you are deeply passionate about, okay, must be related to your why, okay? If you're deeply passionate about it. What you can be best at the world at, okay, something that you can really do well, so the classic definition of is where the idea of uniqueness comes from yesterday. And then, what drives your economic engine? In this case, what drives your economic engine means, in business, what drives your economic engine means, what generates revenue, okay, for your business. In an educational institution, what creates interest among your students and stakeholders, okay, and therefore become a resource. It drives your resources. It drives your resource engine, okay, in your organization. So the intersection of those three is going to be your in this case, the BHAG or the hedgehog concept. Okay. So I go back to, remember one of the, phases in our strategic planning process was the strategic academic plans. That's the strategic planning that was done by the different schools, faculties, and so on, of which we have 4. Okay, and so, and I mentioned earlier that there is a common framework or template also for doing the strategic planning process, okay, at the academic level. And so the common process template is this. So this is what we followed. So we also have guiding principles. We also have the goal-setting process that started with translating the vision into key performance indicators. We did benchmarking also, and then created goals, okay? And then we also have strategic initiatives and action plans, and then the last one that we had is what we call other opportunities. Or if there are other opportunities that we should consider implementing, that we should consider pursuing, okay, then what might those be? Okay. In terms of what our schools actually did, no one actually got to as far as number 6. So I think the strategic academic plans ended up with step 5, action plans. So, okay. One other piece of information, one other part of the process that we did. And one of the criteria requirements in strategic planning is identifying blind spots. What is a blind spot of the organization? Let's see, what's our layman's understanding of a blind spot? What is your blind spot as a person? Your blind spot is what?
Missing.
Pardon?
Missing.
Your weak point that you don't know, okay? You don't know, but others know, okay? Remember that, okay? So the blind spot of a person is something about yourself, most likely bad, okay, most likely not good, that you don't know but others don't know, okay? Now, in an organization, a blind spot, okay, would be something happening out there in the environment that you are not planning for, okay? And you will be blindsided by it, okay? Okay. So the most common tool that organizations use in order to identify blind spots is that they construct scenarios, okay? Different stories about, different assumptions about the future, okay? So this tool that I'd like to share with you is how we chose, okay? And this is a strategic planning done by one of the schools. So this was the business school strategic planning process, okay? In this particular process, the business school came up with 4 alternative scenarios of how higher education might look like, okay? The first scenario was called Higher Education Inc., meaning the commercialization, the continuing commercialization of higher education. The second scenario is open networking. Okay? Open networking essentially means the scenario that with information technology, course outlines, courses will now be open, be available openly, freely on the internet, open source. Okay? Comes from that. Okay? In fact, if you go to the MIT website, a lot of courses that are available on the MIT website that you can actually benchmark against, that you can actually adopt. Third scenario is that universities will be focusing more on serving local communities. Okay? And the last scenario is the new public management scenario. And new public management scenario is universities will be taking the role of These are extensions of government. These are like non-governmental organizations. So these are extensions of this social mechanism that exists. Okay, and so what we were pursuing, what the business school was pursuing as a strategy was a strategy of globalization and further international business education. Right? So the question then becomes, how do the scenarios, 4 scenarios about the future, by the way, these 4 scenarios were not our invention. These 4 scenarios were arrived at by OECD. Okay? The OECD scenarios. Okay? So we thought that the OECD scenarios, okay, they're relevant to us. Okay, so we used them. And what we did was, one of the strategic initiatives was globalization and international business education. So, what do these columns mean? We wrote under Higher Education Inc., if this is the kind of future of higher education, okay, if this is the future of higher education, this is what would happen to us if we are pursuing this strategy of globalization and international business education. So it's a statement, it's your assumption about how the strategy will fare, how it will fare, how it will perform under each one of the scenarios. So under open networking, we had our assumption about how this globalization, international business education will fare. If it's serving local communities, we know that it's bad for these strategies because international education now becomes meaningless under serving local communities. Okay? And we know that in a new public management with a more domestic focus, okay, of higher education, we know that internationalization is not going to be not a viable strategy. Okay? So, you come up with your scenarios, different versions of the future, and then you test your strategies against each one of those. It's a way by which you can avoid blind spots, right? So you don't just assume one direction or one type of environment that will occur in the future, but you assume that there are many other possible scenarios. Now, the application of this type of analysis will then be, okay, if these are what we know will happen under each of these scenarios, okay, then the last column would be, how can we strengthen this particular strategy so that whatever scenario occurs, it will survive. Our organization will survive. And that is the column that we refer to as the amendments for enhanced resilience. Resilience meaning, regardless of what the scenario, what the future will be, the organization will still survive if it's implementing the strategy. Okay? So you identify. So these are improvements upon the strategy that we create, that we formulate, so that regardless of what scenario occurs, the strategy will still be valid. So it's a way by which we consider those blind spots. Okay? Now, let me go further. Okay? There is this other column called strategic reinsurance, row called strategic reinsurance. What does that mean? We are going to implement not only one strategy, but let's say 5 of these strategies. So all of these 5 strategies will have their own corresponding rows, okay? So all of these 5 strategies, they will have their own amendments for enhanced resilience. But picture a much bigger matrix that will have a row for every one of these strategies. So the strategic reinsurance would then be, assuming higher education Inc. is what would happen, okay? Go down the list. Okay? What are the things that we need to do in order to prepare ourselves for this scenario? Okay? Then, assuming open networking would happen, go down the list. And what are the things that we need to do to prepare ourselves for the open networking scenario? So, that is what we meant by strategic reinsurance. This particular technique, okay, is called the wind tunnel. Okay? Okay? who are the engineers in this room, the wind tunnel. So when you construct an aircraft, okay, or anything, so you subject it to the wind tunnel. So you subject it to the wind tunnel and see how strong will it survive, okay? So in a sense, the strategies that you have, you subject it to this wind tunnel. The wind tunnel are the different scenarios that you have. Okay, are we still together? I did not lose you yet? Okay, so I did not lose you yet. Okay, so, okay. This wind tunnel was invented by the Australians. Okay, so this is something that we learned from the Australians. The Australians are the ones who propagated this technique. It's not much heavily used in the U.S., but only a few institutions actually use it. Okay. But the organization in the world that does a lot of scenario planning is Shell. Right? Shell actually wrote the book on scenario planning. So, but this is a variation of what Shell does. Now, what Shell does is that they do a lot of work on creating these alternative futures, okay? But then they stop there. But what we have decided to do is take it further by adopting what the Australians do. They call it the wind tunnel. Okay, so as a result of that, then you arrive at strategies that are more robust. They can survive the different alternative futures that you could think of. Okay. Okay. Questions before we go to our application workshop? Okay. Questions? Yeah, we covered several things. So, yes.
I have one question. If you show us the last picture, the reinsurance strategy, is that for only this strategy or the
this one?
yes, for the globalization and
this is for all. You list down all of your strategies, right? Globalization is one. Maybe the next would be something about experiential learning. And then maybe the next strategy that you have would be about reforming general education. Okay. So then you do this wind tunnel for each one of those. Okay. And then you go down. And then you ask yourself, if this happens, okay, and we know what is the impact on our strategies, then how do we respond to it? What kind of new abilities, capabilities do we need to create in our organization so that if the higher education Inc. scenario occurs, then we're ready. That's why it's called reinsurance. Well, actually, reinsurance is not, well, this is the insurance. This is reinsurance, meaning it's further insurance. So that when you are, if that scenario then occurs, then you're not going to be blindsided. You're prepared for it. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
For the just previously explained, it's about just one thing. For the first blank, it's for higher education, Inc. But what about the last one? The last one means to overall or...
Oh, this one?
The last one, I mean...
Oh, the last column? The last column is for all of them. Okay. What do we need to do to this strategic initiative, to this strategy, in order to make it strong so that it will survive under any one of these scenarios? Okay.
So the last column has to be fixed with the form.
Yes. Well, actually, I should have extended this line here. Okay, that line should continue there, okay? So that line should be going there. Okay. All right. I'm not going to ask you to do a wind tunnel exercise today because it took us 2 days to do this. Okay, so, but what I'd like you to do, it's okay, so for the workshop, so you got your tables, you got the table, the workshop, the worksheets, okay. But the most important, I think, in terms of your reporting, okay. By the way, you also did a part 3, your leadership, right? Like you scored where you are. How many are already world class? The number, what number is that? Number 1 in category 1. Okay. I asked you to, in part 3, that starts in page 33, I asked you to, as a group, score your organization's approaches to address the criteria of the requirements for leadership. So you got 1 is not evident, 2 is beginning, 3 is basically effective, 4 is mature, 5 is advanced, and 6 is role model. Okay, how many said they're role model already? Yes, I am. Advanced, number 5. No, not yet. Okay. Number 4, mature. No. Number 3, basically effective. No. 2, beginning. How many are just beginning to do this part 3? I guess all of you are. Okay. You did this as part of your pre-work assignment also, right? Okay, so, okay. But I asked you to do it also as a group for part 3. Okay, so when you do workshop the next workshop, which is strategic planning, okay, I'd like you to, the minimum, okay, do 2.1A1, the page 38, okay, page 38, okay, do that. Then do page 41, 2.1B1, key strategic objectives. Okay. Okay, so I asked you to do the strategic planning process, right? 2.1B1 in page 38, and then strategic objectives, 2.1 B1, right? This is on page 41. Then I'd like you to, in addition to this, do a golden circle, the why, how, and what of your mission statement. Okay. Okay? And then the 4th assignment is for you to do part 3. You score. Okay? Score your organization. Okay, so let me repeat. The first one is 2.1A1, the strategic planning process, okay, in page 438, right? The second one is 2.1B1, strategic objectives, which is page 41. The third work that you do is the golden circle, okay? And the 4th one that you will do is the part 3, the scoring your strategic planning category. Now, what will you be reporting? Okay? What will you be reporting? If you can report the golden circle, okay, that's I think the value added. That's the value added part of it, the golden circle. Okay? The golden circle, you don't need to put it in nice words. Just be able to say what is the why, what is the how, and what is the what. Okay. Okay? No, okay. What? Describe state the why, state the how, and state the what, okay? And they don't need to be in a paragraph, just like what I showed, but that's the that's what I would ask you to report later, okay? But you do those 4 things that I asked you to do. 2.1A1, page 38, 2.1B1, page 41, the golden circle, and then the part 3, okay?